Hi, we have another topic under equations in one variable. This time we're going to solve word problems involving linear equations. So I will give you some guidelines guidelines that are quite useful in terms of solving word problems. So the first thing that you need to remember is to identify the question. Of course, when you read a problem, okay, word problem, you must understand what is being asked. Okay, this is very important. Why? Because if we do not understand what is being asked in a certain problem, word problem, we might have a different or incorrect linear equation. So, it's really important that we read the problem one time and note what you are asked to find. So better that you have pen and paper for this and then you really understand the paragraph or the word problem. Make notes. So read until you can note something. An amount, a picture, anything that is being asked in the word problem. Then continue reading and making notes until you have read the problem a second time. Next is assign a variable. So again, remember the variable, these are the letters. Okay, like for example, the X, the Y, the P, if you remember that in our previous equations or exercises. Okay, so these are the variable. Assign a variable to whatever is being asked for. If there are two choices, then you need to, then let it be the smaller of the two. Okay. So, assigned two variables, three variables if there are three things being asked. So it depends on what is being asked. That's why again we have to understand and identify the question. All right? Next. Set up an equation. So once we have identified the assigned variable, okay, or we have assigned the variable for the things being asked in the word problem, then we set up an equation. Okay, so setting up an equation, whether we are using multiplication, addition, subtraction, division, then we solve the equation. Then once we solve the equation, then we check the solution. So we run the solution, pass the common sense department using estimation. So just like what we did before, of course, we need to avoid extraneous solutions. So what we need to do is make sure that we do have the correct equation and also the solution. Alright, so let's get started. I have an example here, and then let's try one at a time, okay? Let's apply the guidelines that I taught you earlier. So example number 1. Okay, so first is, what is our first guideline? Identify the question. All right, so let's read first the paragraph. A family arrives at the Walt Disney. Okay, a family arrives at the Walt Disney World parking lot to give their own car in the parking lot, or to get from their car in the parking lot to the gate of the Magic Kingdom. They have to walk 1/4 mile, take a tram for the 1/3 of their total distance, and take a monorail for 1/3 of their total distance. How far is it from their car to the gate of the Magic Kingdom? Okay, so let's try to analyze. Okay, so identify the problem. Again, what is being asked is how far is it? So, how far or the distance? Okay, the distance from the car to the gate. Okay, so gate of the Magic Kingdom. So according to the problem, okay, or they need to walk 1/4. So they walk. So walking first 1/4. Alright? And then take a tram. So next is take a tram. Taking a tram, that is 1/3 of the total distance. 1/3 of the total distance. Okay? And then, next is monorail, which is 1/2 of total distance. Right. So, again, in the guidelines is we make notes. So we identify the question, which is looking for the distance. So the distance, you are looking for the distance, and then we are making notes now. We need to solve. So how far is it now from the car to the gate? Okay, if these are the given details. So you walk 1/4, you take the tram 1/3 of the total distance, and then monorail 1/2 of the total distance. Now we need to assign a variable. So since x is a very famous variable, then we use x as our variable. So since distance is what we need to look for, then this is what x will stand for. All right. So now this is where we say let x, okay? So let x be the distance. All right. So that's our distance. Okay. Next is, it says there, set up an equation. All right. So since this is what we're looking for, the x, we need to look for what x is. So x is equivalent to, so according to what we have noted, okay, so we placed here 1/4, okay, walk 1/4, so 1/4, and then there's a comma, so it means to say that you walk, you take tram, and then you take the monorail. So addition, right? So we use the addition or as our operation, okay? And then it says take tram 1/3 of the total distance. 1/3 of the total distance. So meanings to say, if x is our distance, the total distance, then 1/3 of that x. Alright? So 1/3 of x. Okay? Then, and 1/2 of the take monorail 1/2 of the total distance. So another addition. Then again, you have there 1/2 of total distance. So again, since x is our distance, then 1/2 of x. Ma'am, bakit wala x si 1/4? Dahil, again, looking at the word problem as we identify it, it just says walk 1/4. It did not say 1/4 of the total distance. 1/4 lang. So, wala siyang x. Just plain 1/4. Ma'am, bakit addition? Again, as we analyze the word problem, okay, and then as we draw it, okay, kumbaga nag-add up. Nag-walk, naglakad siya ng 1/4, nag-take siya ng tram and then ng monorail para lang makapunta dun sa gate ng Magic Kingdom. So, kung i-analyze nyo ang problema na yun, nag-a-add siya. Okay, nag-a-add siya. So, we use the operation addition for our equation. Now, let's try to solve. So, again, 1/3 of x, this is like x over 3. Okay? So, 1 times x, so x over 3 yan. Then, ganun din sa kabila, 1/2 of x. So, 1/2 times x. So, magiging x over 2. Now, we have to look for the common denominator. Kailangan natin matanggal itong denominator na to, and their common denominator is 12. Okay. So, alisin na natin si x dyan kasi nilagay na natin siya as numerator. So, again, as we solve here, kailangan both sides yung multiply natin sa 12. Okay, so ito magiging 12x equals, so 12 divided by 4, 3, plus 12 divided by 3, 4 times x, so 4x, plus 12 divided by 2 times x, it's 6x. Then pagsasamahin, igugrupo, then itatranspose sa kabila. So ito ay magiging 10x na. So since positive siya sa right side, sa left side magiging negative. 10x equals 3. So magiging 2x equals 3. So 2x, para ma-eliminate natin yung coefficient ni x, 2x divided by 2, then divided by 3. So, x is 3 over 2. 3 over 2 or 1 and 1 half. 1 and 1 half. If it's in decimal point or gagawin natin siyang distance, it's equivalent to 1.50. Now, let's try to, so we have solved the equation. Now, the next guideline is to check the solution. So, in checking the solution, okay. So, sabi dito, 1 half, okay? So, 1 half, 1/3 muna. 1/3 of x. Ano bang 1/3 nitong 1.50? O yung ano lang yan, di ba? Dahil 1.5 yan. So, 0.5 yan. 0.5 yung 1/3. Di ba? 0.5. Sulat nga natin mas malaki. Okay. Diba? So again, ang x na natin is 1.50. Ngayon, yung 1/3 na tinatawag na x ay 1/3 ditong 1.50 ay 0.50, di ba? 0.50, 0.50, 0.50, 150, di ba? Then, 1 half nung x, okay? So, kalahati niyan ay 0.75. So, 50 plus 0.75 ay 1.25. Ngayon, ang sabi dito, yung nilalakad nila ay 1/4 lang, hindi naman x. So, ano ba yung quarter ng 1? Di ba 0.25? Tama ba? Okay, so kung i-add mo yan, 0.5 plus 0.75 plus 0.25, it's 1.5. So, that is our total distance. Okay. Let's have another example in my next video lecture.